I'm going to say something that might provoke a lot of people, maybe especially producers or people that make music. I don't believe that mixing or mastering your music is necessary. I have always recorded and produced my own music without having any knowledge to how it is supposed to sound. I have put my music on streaming services because I believe that music that is unedited and raw is just as worthy, if not more, than music that is edited and polished. And to me, this is about more than just music and sharing your music. Music is something that belongs to all of us. Since the beginning of our time, music, singing, dancing has been a part of our communication, a part of our culture. With the rise of the internet, the digital world, and social media, it seems like music has drifted further and further away from the real world. Meaning, even though we might go to concerts and experience music firsthand, we mostly experience music online, and there's nothing wrong with that. But listening to professionally produced, mixed and mastered music, you are listening to something that is not really a reflection of reality. We have created a standard for how music should be produced and how music should sound. For instance, if you want to be played on radio, the music has to be professionally produced and be at a certain standard. And we've created this world which in many ways is false. It's a false representation of how music sounds. And for me, this is because music and singing is something that in the olden days was something that we shared with each other in real life. And it's not that we don't have this sense of using music and singing in our real life anymore, but I think creating this music that sounds very perfect, very non-human, very edited, very polished, very controlled, is distancing us from reality and from how music sounds in reality. Not just distancing us from how music sounds in reality, but distancing us from reality. We also see this in the beauty world, with real people being photoshopped and filtered to look non-human, to look more robotic, and in that I mean more perfect. So now people are getting surgeries to look like the fake version of a human. And now when you put a photoshopped real human next to an AI person, you can't tell the difference. And this is another example of how our realities are blending together in a way. And I think that's a dangerous thing. And why I like to make raw and unpolished music is that I want people to be able to hear me. Not just hear my voice, but hear my emotion and hear my energy. I don't want to filter away things from my authentic voice. I don't want to add effects that makes me sound not like me. I also think about how much we are idolizing famous people or singers, for instance. I think that's an example of the distance between us growing further and further apart. That we have to idolize someone, and that plays really well with that person producing or making music that is very polished and that sounds like not the person sitting in their living room singing a song and recording that, but it has to be in a soundproof box. It has to be isolated literally from the real world. You have to isolate it. You have to make it sound really clear and really clean. It has to be controlled. And even if you go to a live concert, there's someone controlling the levels of the different microphones and the different inputs to make it sound leveled and balanced. And it's not that something is wrong with editing. The problem, I think, is what is behind it and where it's leading us. It's leading us further from the real world and further from real music. Imagine friends sitting around a fireplace late at night, and they're playing with an instrument, a guitar or something, and they're singing together. Maybe some of them are not singing, they're just witnessing music firsthand. And in that space, there is so much liveliness, so much authenticity, so much uniqueness to that specific moment. You might hear the wind in the trees behind. You might hear some of the birds late at night. You might hear the crackling fireplace. You might hear someone, whispering. You might hear the guitar very loud. You might hear the hands that is drumming on the guitar. There are all these different sounds that makes music so special and so lively and so human and so tied to reality. And the more we try and polish it and isolate it and isolate our sound, isolate the different inputs, isolate the different tracks, the more we try and do, the more we try and change what is, the further we're going from reality. I've almost not shared my music because I thought, well, it's not perfect. It doesn't sound like the other music. It doesn't sound right. And I've always been told that no one is going to take me seriously if I post my demo songs. And I compare myself to other musicians, to singers that are professional or singers that are making a living from singing. And I think that's very sad, which is why I like to think about the singer, songwriter, and musician Daniel Johnston. If you don't know about him, I hope you'll look him up because he was amazing and such an inspiration for me. He made multiple albums actually, which he recorded on his boombox, I think it's called, in his room. The sound quality is really bad, but it's not what you hear, it's not what you pay attention to. You pay attention to his voice, his very, very characteristic voice. You pay attention to the lyrics, you pay attention to the melody, you pay attention to his expression. There are so many other things that is important other than the quality. And this is also just a reminder to all other artists, musicians, singers that want to share your creations online and you're holding yourself back because you don't think the quality is good enough. You just sitting and recording yourself with a video camera or with your smartphone, whatever, that's still worthwhile. That's still worthy of being heard. It can still move people. It can move people just as much as you going into a studio, maybe even more, because it's authentic. And that's what we need, and that's where the world of music, I think, is heading towards, hopefully.